Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you're going to meet a man who is suing to stop no-fault divorce in Texas. We'll explain next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
So I don't know when no-fault divorce started in Texas, but on its surface, it sounds fine. No fault, right? Let's make it easy. Let's get through this together. But Jeff Morgan is going through it himself, and he is suing to stop no-fault divorce in Texas. Jeff, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Jeff. And so no-fault divorce sounds very nice. It sounds like it's just a wonderful thing. But the reality is that for many people, if you're the respondent to a no-fault divorce suit, you have no legal defense. You cannot stop a divorce. In many instances, there is a unilateral aspect. It's not mutual, by mutual consent. It's one person is being forced to be divorced against his will or her will. And that's really what we've been fighting against. In 2020, I believe it was, I got the Republican platform changed. And basically, because we've had on the platform plank to rescind no-fault divorce laws for years. But I put in the word unilateral no-fault divorce laws because, in many instances, one person is forcefully divorced against his will or against her will, and the person has no defense, can never stop it.
Yeah, in your case, you're standing on biblical principles.
Absolutely. And if I go back to the biblical principles, you look at what is the purpose of God in marriage. The purpose of God in marriage was to, a man should leave his father and mother, cleave to his wife, the two shall become one. And Jesus added what God joined together, let no man tear asunder. And for marriage, what you learn is that a husband and a wife, they actually reflect the mystery of Christ's love for the church. That's what it's supposed to be. And you learn to love each other. You learn to forgive each other. There's a number of things that you learn to do. You have 2 imperfect people and 2 sinful people, and God's going to create something great out of them.
Sure.
So,
and in some states, they actually make you go through marriage counseling before they'll grant a divorce. And so is Texas unusual?
So Texas does not make it mandatory, and I wish they did, because there's a lot of times that divorces take place needlessly. And trust me, I'm not trying to get rid of all divorce. Some divorce, as tragic as it is actually maybe necessary. It should be a remedy in some situations. But there's many divorces, and this is widely known, that what we call needless divorces that never should have taken place. Sometimes if 2 people learn how to communicate better, maybe learn how to manage money better, various things that happen, that marriages could be saved, and they should be saved.
Well, you were telling me a story before the show where somebody was a vegan and the other person was not. And...
Right. So this idea in the Texas Family Code at 6.001, insupportability, and nobody knows what this means, and irreconcilable differences. But because I've been fighting this for so many years, some people have come up to me and told me their stories. One daughter came up to me and said, my mom became a vegan. My dad did not want to become a vegan, so she sued him under the 6.001. That's a very minor reason. There's other ways that could have taken place.
Absolutely. We're going to show an article. You were featured in a very prominent article in a well-known publication. So you're getting media attention on this. I mean, is that helpful, Jeff? You're still David fighting Goliath, aren't you?
Well, I'm David fighting probably 100 Goliaths is what it comes right down to. But yes, actually the media attention does help because the narrative has been crafted. And what happens when you go down to the Capitol to try to legislate for things, the divorce attorneys have lobbyists. I don't bet most people don't know that. They have lobbyists down there. And the divorce attorneys and the lobbyists try to tell you how wonderful things are in the state of Texas. But what does a lobbyist do? A lobbyist lobbies for the financial interests of their clients, the divorce industry. So there's a lot of times that we've caught them in lies that it's like, this is not true. The research does not say this. But I've seen many times when they've had people go down there to testify, and usually they get a pretty woman, been in the industry for 25 years, and she has this whole script. But anyway, we are trying to get this done, trying to get things changed, but because the lobbyists are down there, and we're just an individual, like you said, but the lobbyists can be in their ears, and they have people that are down there. That's what almost their full-time job.
Yes. Jeff, you've appeared on countless podcasts. We're going to show some video of one of a recent podcasts that you were on. Are people surprised when they start to hear your journey?
So there's an element of surprise, but you'd be surprised at how many people are like saying somebody is finally saying something because they've gone through it themselves. They know what it's like. And the narrative that some of these attorneys would like to say, well, this is just a man trying to keep a woman trapped in a marriage. I can't tell you how many women have contacted me and said, we're behind you 100%, because this is a very brutal, tyrannical system. And there's people that say, I don't want to be divorced. And yet they're going to get divorced forcefully against their wills. People that can say, we can make our marriage work. But because one person wants to check out, that's it.
Yeah. And I was listening to audio on one of your broadcasts, and you had audio with a judge. Share that with us. You were basically arguing with the judge?
Right. The judge was a judge. He was speaking at an event. And I went up to him afterwards, and I got all mic'd up. I had many, only one of them worked, but at least one of them worked. But I was arguing with him about the divorce. He's like, well, I'm surprised because, you didn't seem like you weren't angry when you walked out. So what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to say, Judge, I'm angry? He said, well, you could have said something to me. We could have had a jury trial. But it turned out what he said is that you don't understand. I had no option. I had to grant the divorce. I said, no, you didn't. The Texas Family Code says this. He says, you don't understand the law. You need to talk to an attorney. The Texas Family Code does say the judge may, but the judge always does, 100%. So when you're in a divorce situation and somebody's filing for no-fault divorce, the petitioner always wins. It's guaranteed.
Okay, so in the case of that parent who was a vegan, the judge should have said, no, that's not a good enough reason.
But the problem is that a judge with discretion would be able to do that. But our laws are written in such a way that the judges will tell you that they don't have the discretion to deny a divorce. So in essence, what it becomes, it's a legislative divorce. The legislature has decreed divorce under the guise of insupportability and irreconcilable differences. And this is actually forbidden in our Texas Constitution in Article 3, Section 5613. It says the legislature is prohibited from making special laws granting divorces.
Yes.
And it becomes a separation of powers issue because in Article 2, Section 1 of our Texas Constitution, it talks about the different branches of government. Sure. So one of the things with the judicial branches are supposed to have discretion. They lack discretion because this is a mandated forced divorce by the legislature. It's unconstitutional, not just in those ways, but in many other ways as well.
Yes. Well, and to your point, obviously there are some couples who need to get divorced, but there was a time in the 40s, 50s, even in the 60s where marriage was for life.
Marriage was for life, yeah. And I've talked with many people about this because you hear people talking about, the same-sex marriage versus opposite-sex marriage. And I said, well, listen, we've already redefined marriage. It used to be a permanent institution, and we've said it was temporary. So you have people in different communities, and maybe their parents have been brought up in faith communities, but they've gotten divorced, and they can say, don't talk to us. You've already redefined marriage yourself. Marriage is designed to be permanent. As I said, Jesus said, what God has joined together, let no man and let no state and let no judge tear apart. There has to be a good reason for divorce.
Absolutely. Okay, so we have about 2 minutes left. Jeff, what do you need to help you in this fight?
Oh, we need everybody talking about this issue. I've spoken with Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. I've spoken with Mike Huckabee. I haven't spoken with J.D. Vance, but I know he's on our side, Dr. Penn Carson. We have legislators throughout the country that are talking about the no-fault divorce issue. And really, because, as you mentioned, everybody thinks no-fault divorce, it's so nice. It doesn't sound so bad. It's one of the most brutal, horrendous things that you will ever find. It's tyrannical. And I've known men and women that cannot see their kids because of no-fault divorce. There's no-fault divorce, and yet a judge will say, you can't see your kids. You can't, you have to pay this money, and we're going to divide up your property. Well, wait a minute. Why should I divide up anything? I've known of people that one of the partners has been has gone for another person of the same sex, and they win the divorce, and they get to take stuff. And I've seen people that have just been decimated, not just emotionally, financially, but in every sort of ways. And unfortunately, Jeff, we've seen people that have committed suicide, go into multiple issues, and the impacts on our children. And your divorce can also impact your grandchildren. We don't talk about these things. The long-term impacts of divorce, and especially this thing called no-fault divorce, which is overturned hundreds of years of what marriage was supposed to be, are horrendous.
Well, thank you for sharing your heart and your mission and your ministry with us. We're going to end with his Facebook page so you can get in touch with him, Jeff Morgan. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's
Thank
it
you.
for now. We'll see you next time.